Um, you know, there's so you can do some of those sorts of strategies in order to yeah, in order to like grow your page and that kind of stuff. And yeah, oh, I'm getting a bit distracted now because I'm kind of wondering whether or not I'm just talking to nobody. All right. But yeah, you can do all of those kinds of things. It's sort of, you need to come up with a plan and a strategy. And I really encourage you to sort of come up with, I do it in a spreadsheet and sort of work out some general themes of things that my audience might be interested in. And then from there, I then work out whether or not from those themes, I work out from there, different posts that can fit into those themes and then that sort of thing. The times that I have been able to keep on track with a publishing schedule and that sort of stuff is when I've had everything planned. And I go into a lot of that stuff in the course, which you can find over at gdni.com.au, so that you have more of an idea about what I'm talking about. But that's like a really great way to think about engagement. The other really great ways to get more engagement on Facebook is going out to, where your fans hang out on other pages and then interacting and chatting with them there. And doing it in kind of a natural way. Like, I'm not saying steal fans from your competitors, but I am sort of saying, like, if they hang out in a Facebook group or something like that, you can always sort of help them with some stuff and then say, oh, you know what, I have a group or I have a Facebook page and we talk about this stuff over there. If you want to come join us, just naturally, the same way that you would do sort of naturally if you were at a face-to-face networking event. I mean, if you're sort of networking, you don't kind of walk up to a complete stranger and sort of say, do you want to buy my stuff? You generally sort of walk up to somebody and say, hey, what do you, what are you interested in? What do you like? And then try and find some common ground. And then, after a bit of time, then you might sort of say, oh, hey, do you know I do this and that sort of stuff. At least that's how I approach life. I'm not really good at walking up to complete strangers and saying, hey, buy my stuff. And I think that the online world is kind of just very similar to the face-to-face world in that way. I think you can get a lot further just by being yourself and actually being genuinely interested in people. Now, I guess that also comes back to that whole time versus money factor. If you want, if you've got time to spend, interacting with people in groups and that kind of stuff, then great. If you don't have time but you have money, then you can invest in Facebook ads. But I would suggest doing those ads to content like this, like the Facebook ad that I did for Go Digital recently was actually about the social media stuff that I posted about which social media channel to use and, my tips and advice. And there'll be more of those coming out and they'll be going to content. And then each of those pieces of content also has the ability for people to sign up and join the course and that kind of thing. So yeah, that's another way that you can sort of use Facebook to to get some more engagement. Now, the other thing is definitely to consider video and Facebook Lives, a bit like what I'm doing here. Although I'm doing this Facebook Live from my webinar software, so I can't actually see like if anybody's posting comments on Facebook or anything like that. So I'm a little bit blind. It's not quite the same as doing a Facebook Live. But if you're doing video content and Facebook Live stuff, that content does get ranked higher for businesses and that sort of stuff. It gets ranked higher in the feeds and that kind of stuff. If you do a live, it can go out to a bunch of different people's like notifications that you're live. It can also, be there, like it gets recorded and then there's a copy of it, and that can also, people can come back to it afterwards, that sort of thing. And same with videos. If you can get a video and make it interesting enough in the first 3 seconds, because that's about all the time you have to capture somebody's attention in their feed. But if you can make it interesting enough, because the videos move, that can gain attention. And then people click on it to view the video. And then once they've viewed the video, you can also, when you're going into your Facebook ads, then target people who have watched your videos and stuff in Facebook. I believe I heard that that was either coming or has already come out. I haven't had enough time to learn it and play with it myself, to be honest, but I am trying to find some more information on some of that stuff to share with you guys. So yeah, definitely bear with me. But yeah, so those are a few things to think about with engagement. One of the other things is, how often should you post? Now, I did do a little bit of research before this call, so just to see if ideas had changed, because at one point in time, and there's a huge section of the online community that says in Facebook you should be posting 5 or 6 times a day, every couple of hours, because every time you post, your post will only go out to a certain section of your followers, right? And they say it's about 2%. But each time you post, it's a different 2% that it will go out to, depending on how many people interacted with your last post. So keeping that in mind, you could potentially do, lots of posts, especially if you look at those statistics like I showed you earlier. And if anybody's joining in late, then you can definitely check that out on the replay. And you can see the statistics of engagement and see what people engage with, and then use that to improve your posts. But there's also the thing of, if you're putting out posts that people aren't engaging with, then that means the next post you put out means it won't go as far out. It won't be sent out to as many people. It won't reach as many people. Okay, so I definitely and then before I get into my advice, I have to say, then there's the other camp of people that sort of say, you know what, just do 2 or 3 posts a week. And especially if you did those 2 or 3 posts a week, and when you did them, they're really top quality and you get so much more interaction and engagement, then, you can get a lot more from that as well. So it does come down to, how well you know your audience, your personal preference, how much time you have, whether or not you can hire somebody to help you with some of this stuff, even if it's just scheduling it out. And if you don't know how to schedule a post on your business page, I go through that in the videos from last week's stuff, and you can check that out on the website at gdni.com.au. I should just stick it in here so that people can see that. And look at that, the screen's changing. Hopefully you won't be, that will relieve any boredom you might have by me not doing much. There's a lot of information in my head, and trying to get it out is the fun part. But this is our website, and you can click on free training at the top here, and then you can click on last week's Facebook post down there, so that you can find out some of that stuff if you need any of some of those basics before you go through the rest of this. And let's see, what else was I going through? Let me check my notes. There was increasing engagement. There's how to do a Facebook Live. I guess you'd probably want to know that when you're doing a post and you click on it, and if I start typing in the post, whoops, I'm in my... okay, so you click on live, and then if I click on live video, that would allow me to do a post, like a Facebook Live if I wanted to. The same with if you want to upload video, you can upload a video there. The other thing with video, if you are using it, you can, if you've got the time, add in some captions, because people watch videos in Facebook with them muted. They don't actually often get sound unless they choose to turn the sound on. So putting the captions so that people can, just read it, especially if they're looking at their Facebook feed when they're, in a public place, but they don't want everybody to hear the sound, or maybe they're at work, because, surely that would never happen, but maybe. And so there's a few things to think about there in terms of increasing your engagement and some of that stuff. Yeah, and I guess the other thing I was talking about before, jumping around a little bit here, but I was talking before about, whether or not you do lots of posts in a day or just a couple in a week. And, you could start out just doing, a couple in a week until you get a handle on how people are responding to what you're putting out there. And from that, then you could increase it if it works. The other way you could go about it is, hey, I'm just going to commit a week and do 5 posts a day until I work out what people like, and then I can go from there. Also remember to change the different types of content that you're using. So, and change, some, like, experiment with the different times of day, but definitely do, have some posts that are about, behind the scenes of your life, behind the scenes of what you do for your business. People love that sort of stuff. You can, like, if you're making something, you can get somebody to sort of sit over your shoulder with like a camera and just film 15 seconds of it and put it up. Doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be arduous. What else is, people love quotes, those quote posts. And in the course, I will show you how to sort of put together that sort of content, and using free sites like canva.com or PicMonkey, that sort of stuff, so that you can put together stuff like that for social media, so you don't necessarily have to have Photoshop. And let's see, and other things like entertainment, funny things that that happen that might be interesting. Even also stories about your struggles and that kind of thing can be okay. But just remember to sort of keep a spin on it. Like, part of what you're doing with your content is you're sharing your personality and, like, your business personality with the world. So, you've got to be careful about whether or not, you don't necessarily want to be sharing that story on your business page about how, your car tire is flat and the world is against you and that kind of stuff. There's definitely more of a bias towards positivity, unless, your brand is kind of around being, maybe sarcastic or something like that. Then maybe you could share some posts that are more sarcastic in nature. But it's still kind of, you're creating a personality for your brand, for, even if it's just a product that you're selling. And every time you post a piece of content, that's a part of you building that personality. So you need to make sure that it kind of fits in with how you see your business and how you want, your clients or customers to see that business as well. So sort of keep, that tone, and don't go too dark just because you're having a bad day. Definitely think it through.